Every 37 years, a rule stays exactly the same, while everything around it changes completely. That's not a typo. That's the SSI savings limit. And right now, for the first time in decades, there's real movement to finally fix it. Stick around, because I'm going to walk you through exactly where things stand. And if you find this useful, subscribe, because I track this stuff closely, and I'll keep you posted the moment anything actually changes. Let's be honest about something first. Most government rules get updated eventually. Tax brackets shift, minimum wage laws get revisited, even parking fines go up over time. But the amount of money you're allowed to have in savings while still qualifying for SSI, that number hasn't budged since 1989. Ronald Reagan was still fresh out of office. A gallon of milk cost about $1. Cell phones the size of bricks were considered cutting-edge technology. And here we are, decades later, dealing with a completely different cost of living, still working with the same $2,000 ceiling like nothing in the world has changed since then. If you're on SSI, you already know the drill. $2,000 if you're single, $3,000 if you're married. Go over that on the wrong day, and your check can just stop. Doesn't matter if it was a birthday gift from your grandkid or a tax refund you didn't ask for, or a repayment from a friend who finally paid you back for something. The system doesn't care about context. It just checks the number on the first of the month and makes its decision. Cold and automatic. No explanation needed. And here's the thing that really gets me. This isn't some obscure rule buried in fine print that only affects a handful of people. This affects millions of Americans who are already living on the edge. People who did everything right their whole lives and now find themselves punished for the crime of trying to keep $50 extra in the bank in case the water heater breaks. You'd think a country as wealthy as ours could figure out a way to let people save a little without threatening their survival. But here we are. So here's the part that actually matters today. There's a bill in Congress, a real one, with real bipartisan support, not some fringe proposal nobody takes seriously, that would raise that limit to $10,000 for individuals and $20,000 for couples. It's called the SSI Savings Penalty Elimination Act. And honestly, the name says it all, because that's what this really is, a penalty. A penalty for trying to save a little money when you're already living on almost nothing. What's interesting about this bill isn't just the number, though. It's who's behind it. You've got a Democratic senator from Nevada and a Republican senator from Louisiana, both putting their names on it. You've got AARP supporting it, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce supporting it, groups like Justice in Aging and the National Council on Aging supporting it. Even a major tech company like Microsoft has thrown its support behind this. When you see that many different, often opposing groups agreeing on something, that tells you this isn't political theater. This is a genuine attempt to fix something almost everyone recognizes is broken. And that kind of unusual agreement doesn't happen very often in Washington these days. Now, I want to pause here and open something up, because there's a piece of this story most people miss entirely. This bill wouldn't just raise the limit once and call it done. It would tie the number to inflation going forward, which means if it passes, we'd never be back here again in another 37 years talking about how outdated this rule has become. That alone is a pretty big deal, and I'll get back to why in a minute, because it changes the entire conversation from a one-time fix to a permanent solution. Think about what that would actually mean for daily life. Right now, if you're careful, you probably plan your finances around avoiding that $2,000 cliff. Maybe you've turned down help from family because you were scared it would push you over. Maybe you've spent money faster than you wanted to just to stay under the limit, buying things you didn't quite need yet because keeping the cash felt too risky. Under a $10,000 limit, that whole calculation changes. You could actually build something resembling a real emergency fund. You could accept help without fear. You could breathe a little. But let's talk honestly about where this actually stands right now, because I'm not here to get your hopes up over nothing. This bill is sitting in committee, both the House version and the Senate version. It hasn't gotten a floor vote yet, which means the full House and full Senate haven't even had the chance to debate it and vote on it. Some of the tracking sites that estimate a bill's odds aren't especially optimistic about it clearing committee at all. So no, this isn't law yet. Not close. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's a done deal because that wouldn't be fair to you. And you've had enough people give you false hope already.
Here's why I still think it matters, though, even sitting exactly where it is right now. Bills don't move because they exist. They move because people make noise about them. Think about how many pieces of legislation die quietly in committee every single year without anyone outside Washington ever hearing a word about them. The ones that actually go somewhere are usually the ones where regular people started talking, started calling, started making their representatives understand that this isn't some abstract policy debate. It's about whether their constituents can afford to keep the lights on. The organizations backing this thing are actively trying to build public pressure, because pressure is what turns a bill collecting dust into a bill that finally gets a hearing. Every person who understands this issue and mentions it to someone else, that's one more voice lawmakers can't fully ignore. And look, I'm not asking you to become a full-time activist here. I'm just saying understanding this stuff and sharing it when it comes up matters more than you might think. And while we wait to see what Congress does with this, there's something worth knowing that already exists today, right now, not tucked away in some future bill that may or may not pass. If you or someone you love has a disability that started before age 46, there's an account called an ABLE account that lets you save up to $100,000 without any of it touching your SSI eligibility. That's not a future possibility. That's available right now. And it's one of the most underused tools out there for families in this exact situation. Money in an ABLE account can go toward housing, transportation, education, assistive technology, and healthcare costs, all without a single dollar of it counting against your resource limit. I bring this up because too many families never even hear about it. They're so focused on the $2,000 wall in front of them that nobody tells them about the side door that's been open this whole time. If this applies to your situation or someone in your family, it's worth looking into seriously because it could genuinely change how much financial breathing room you have. In the meantime, protect yourself the smart way, under the rules as they exist today. Watch your balance closely, especially right before the end of the month, since that first of the month snapshot is what actually gets checked. If money lands in your account unexpectedly, call your local Social Security office before it turns into a problem, instead of after. It's a lot easier to sort things out proactively than to explain after the fact why your balance briefly ticked over the line. Remember, too, that not everything counts against you. Your home doesn't count, no matter what it's worth. One car doesn't count, as long as you're actually using it. Your personal belongings, your furniture, your wedding ring, none of that counts. A modest amount set aside specifically for burial expenses doesn't count either. And whatever you do, don't try to hide money or give it away to dodge the limit. I know it might feel like a clever workaround when you're staring down a deadline, but if that gets flagged by the Social Security Administration as an improper transfer, you're looking at a penalty period that can lock you out of benefits for up to 3 years. 3 years! That's a far bigger headache than the one you were trying to avoid in the first place. And it's not worth the risk, no matter how tempting the shortcut looks in the moment.
You worked for decades to earn this safety net. You paid into the system, you followed the rules. And now, when you actually need the support, you're stuck navigating a maze that hasn't been updated since before some of your grandchildren were born. You're not asking for a favor here. You're asking for a program that actually reflects the cost of living in 2026, not 1989. A program that treats responsible saving as something to encourage, not something to punish. Whether this bill passes next month, next year, or gets rewritten entirely before it does, you deserve to know exactly where things stand, and exactly what you can do right now while we wait and see. That's really all I'm trying to give you here. Not empty hope, not doom and gloom, just the honest picture, so you can make decisions with your eyes open. If this helped you understand where things really are, hit subscribe, because I'm going to stay on top of this bill and let you know the second anything real happens, whether that's good news or bad news. And share this with someone you know who's on SSI, or looking after a parent who is. The more people who actually understand this, the harder it gets for this issue to just quietly fade away in some committee room nobody's watching. You've spent your whole life earning the right to a little peace of mind. Let's make sure the people making these decisions don't forget that.